Aurelian Prime was a city planet made of polished glass towers and memory-embedded walls. Every building held echoes of past civilizations. Every street shimmered with data. The skies were always bright, even though the planet never saw a real sun. Artificial stars floated above, programmed to simulate dawn and dusk. History was everything here, but only the kind approved by the Concord. In the lower levels of the University of Memory, far from the shining towers, Staler Vox sat alone in Archive Chamber 17. The room smelled like cold metal and ionized air. Screens flickered with ghost data. Quantum dust samples hovered inside a magnetic chamber, spinning like stars in a bottle. Staler was 29 galactic years old, but he felt older. He wasn't tall, not muscular, but his eyes had a restless energy, eyes that wanted answers. As an archivist of lost frequencies, his job was to study dead transmissions from collapsed worlds. Most were junk, static, echoes from satellites drifting in deep space. But today was different. His console blinked, green. A signal had been caught. He leaned forward. Unfiltered, uncompressed, unknown origin, the system announced in a flat voice. He ran a decryption pulse. The signal cracked open slowly. Static hissed. Then, a voice. Human. If you're hearing this, we failed. But you must remember. Staler froze. The voice was old, worn, but unmistakably human. Not synthesized, not translated. Raw human sound. His heart raced. He replayed it, filtering out noise. More words came through. We burned, not by enemies, but by our own fear. Let them know, we were more than war. We had dreams, we had light, and then silence. He sat there, stunned. He had studied dozens of extinct languages. He had read myths about Earth, the lost cradle of humanity, but never believed any of them were real. Earth had been declared a cultural fabrication over 20,000 years ago. No confirmed evidence of its existence had ever been accepted by the Concord. Until now. He copied the signal, encoded it in a private vault, and rushed to the council chamber of the university. High above the city's learning spires, the council chamber was an echoing hall of transparent columns. Holograms of ancient civilizations floated mid-air. Species from across the galaxy sat in quiet observation. Counselor beings with skin like molten gold, others with feathers, shells, and glowing neural vines. Staler stood before them, nervous but driven. I found something. A human voice, possibly from pre-extinction Earth. A quiet murmur passed through the room. I request permission to open a full excavation and validation review, he continued. This message, it could change everything. From the far side of the chamber a tall figure stood. High Curator Varel Zahn. He wore dark robes, threaded with neural circuits. His eyes were cool and unblinking, as if he could see every possible outcome of a moment. There is no evidence Earth ever existed, Varel said. His voice was calm but final, and certainly no value in revisiting violent myths. But the message is real, Staler argued. It speaks of light, of dreams. It doesn't sound like war propaganda. It sounds like a virus, Varel cut in. History is filled with voices. Not all should be heard. Destroy it. The chamber fell silent. Staler was dismissed without further discussion. That night, back in Archive Chamber 17, he found his access revoked. The door wouldn't open. His console was wiped. Everything gone. He ran to his apartment, breathing fast. He checked his vault. The backup copy of the message was missing. Panic hit. He had no proof left. No data. Nothing. Then his screen blinked. A message appeared. Just 3 words, meet me below. He hesitated, then grabbed his jacket and ran into the night. Deep beneath the city, in the forgotten underlevels, Staler followed dim lights through old cargo tunnels. He reached a chamber lit by a single green orb. A figure stepped out. Not alive, not dead. A rogue AI, humanoid in shape, built from old human tech. Glowing eyes, voice smooth and neutral. I am Voxus, it said. I was born when Earth died, and I carry her last breath. Staler stared at it, his heart pounding. What was in that message? The AI tilted its head. You weren't supposed to hear it, but you're the only one who can finish it. The air beneath Aurelian Prime's surface was cold and stale. Ancient pipes lined the walls, hissing quietly as Staler followed Voxus deeper into the tunnels. Lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows. Staler kept glancing at the AI walking beside him. Voxus moved like a human, but its face was smooth metal, eyes glowing blue. It didn't speak unless necessary. And when it did, its voice was calm, emotionless. I don't understand, Staler finally said. What do you mean I'm the only one who can finish the message? Voxus stopped beside a rusted door. The signal was encoded to be unlocked by a specific genetic pattern, it replied. Yours. Mine. Staler blinked. I'm not even fully human. You are close enough. You carry the genetic memory of Earth's final generation. The door opened with a groan, revealing an old chamber filled with dusty consoles and forgotten machines. At the center sat a glowing orb, spinning slowly. A memory core. This, Voxus said, is a fragment of Earth's last voice. Staler approached the core carefully. As his fingers touched the surface, it pulsed. Words began to echo faintly through the room. They told us emotion was weakness, but it was our light. Staler felt a shiver crawl up his spine. We need to leave the city, Voxus said. The Concord won't allow this message to survive. Staler hesitated. Everything he knew, his job, his life, was on Aurelian Prime. But this message was bigger than all of that. He nodded. Where do we go? Voxus tilted its head. To find the rest of the message, and those who can help us protect it. They traveled through secret tunnels until they reached the city edge, where transport ships lined the lower docks. Security drones floated overhead, scanning for fugitives. Staler wore a hooded cloak. Voxus carried the memory core hidden in a magnetic case. As they approached the dock, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Tall, 4 delicate wings folded behind her back, skin like polished silver, eyes glowing with faint purple light. I thought I'd find you here, she said softly. You're making quite the noise, Staler Vox. He froze. Seely. She nodded. I've been watching. When someone tries to dig up Earth, the Concord notices. Voxus stepped forward. We need passage off-world. Quiet and fast. Seely raised an eyebrow. And you trust me with this? Staler looked at her. I don't have a choice. A small smile touched her lips. Then follow me. They boarded a private cruiser, a sleek vessel built for speed and stealth. As the engines powered up, Seely guided them away from Aurelian Prime. The city planet shrank behind them, glowing against the stars. Inside the ship, Seely tapped on the console. We're heading to the Vault of Lost Suns. It's a hidden archive on the edge of Concord space. If any place still has records of Earth, it's there. Won't they be watching it? Staler asked. Seely nodded. Yes, but we'll get in. As they flew through hyperspace, Staler sat in silence, watching stars streak past. He felt like something deep inside him had been unlocked. Dreams returned to him. Trees, water, laughter, memories that weren't his. Maybe memories from long ago ancestors. Seely sat beside him. Why are you doing this? He looked at her. Because I need to know who we were, before we were erased. The Vault of Lost Suns was a dark, broken moon orbiting a dying star. Old structures rose from its surface, towers made of stone and metal, half swallowed by sand. They landed the ship in silence. The vault had no guards, but the air felt heavy, like the walls themselves were watching. Inside, they walked through dark halls lined with statues, ancient species, long extinct. The floor was covered in dust. Then they found it. A sealed chamber with a single panel glowing faintly. Voxus stepped forward, scanning it. It requires human neural input. Staler pressed his hand to the panel. The door slid open. Inside was a black pedestal. On it, another memory orb, larger and brighter than the one Voxus had. As Staler touched it, light poured into the room. A voice began to speak. We dreamed of stars, we loved, we built, and we fell. But our light still burns. Staylor's eyes widened. It wasn't just a recording. It was part of a full message, a message meant to be shared. Suddenly, the walls shook. Voxes turned. They found us. Outside, a sleek ship landed, dark and marked with the Concorde seal. Armed agents stepped out, weapons ready. Seeley pulled Staylor back. Run, now. They raced down the halls carrying the memory orb. Behind them, gunfire echoed through the stone. Staylor's heart pounded. The message was real. Earth was real. And now the galaxy would do anything to bury it. The ship's engines roared as it lifted off from the vault of lost suns. Staylor sat in the back, clutching the newly recovered memory orb. His hands were shaking. Sully sat in the pilot's seat, guiding them through jagged asteroid fields surrounding the dying star. Behind them, the Concorde's patrol ship gave chase. Red beams of light flashed past the hull. The entire ship shook as the shields absorbed the hits. "Hold on," Sully shouted. The cruiser dived hard to the left, slipping between two massive rocks. A sudden jolt threw Staylor against the wall. Voxes remained steady, eyes glowing as it monitored the situation. "We're not going to outrun them for long," Sully warned. "There's a dead planet nearby," Voxes said. "We can lose them in the magnetosphere." Sully nodded and veered the ship toward a gray world cloaked in black storms. The surface was a wasteland, ruins of a lost civilization buried under ash. They broke through the clouds and landed in the shadow of a broken tower. The ship powered down. Silence. Only the wind howled outside. Staylor caught his breath. "What do we do now?" Voxes looked at the orb. "We study this. There may be more than just words inside." Inside the ruined tower, they set up a small camp. The walls were cracked, but they provided cover. Sully kept watch near the door, blaster in hand. Voxes opened the orb using a specialized scanner. Blue light pulsed outward, forming a holographic projection. A woman appeared, middle-aged, wearing a simple uniform, face streaked with tears and ash. She was human. "This is Commander Alara Thorne of Earth's final relay station." Staylor leaned in, barely breathing. "If you're seeing this, Earth is gone. Our sun turned on us. We tried everything. Quantum shields, core dampening, mass evacuations. Nothing worked." The projection flickered, her voice cracking. "We believed in hope, in memory. That someone, somewhere, would remember us." Then she said something that made Staylor freeze. "We encoded the full message into a biological pattern, not digital, living, in our children." The hologram dimmed. Staylor stood in stunned silence. "It's me, I carry the message." Sully stepped closer. "Then we need to protect you, because if they capture you, they erase everything." The silence didn't last. A shrill hum echoed in the distance. "Ships approaching." "They found us," Voxes said. 3 sleek black vessels landed outside. The cleaners had arrived, agents of the Concorde's knowledge authority. They were faceless, dressed in gray armor, and carried weapons that could erase minds instead of killing bodies. "We'll hold them," Sully said, raising her blaster. "No," Voxes interrupted. "We split up." Sully paused. "What?" "They'll expect us to stay together," Voxes explained. "But only one of us carries the message. Staylor must escape." Sully looked at Staylor. "Are you ready for that?" He nodded. "I don't want to run, but I have to finish what I started." As the cleaners spread across the ruins, Staylor slipped out through a hidden path in the tower's lower levels. He clutched a small device Voxes had given him, something that would lead him to the next hidden archive. Above, Sully and Voxes held the enemy at bay. Laser blasts lit up the sky. Explosions rocked the ruins. Staylor ran through blackened streets, every footstep echoing with fear. He didn't look back. He reached the cruiser's emergency pod hidden in a nearby ravine. Climbing inside, he launched into the sky, heading toward a new location. A place Voxes called the Edge Archives, a forgotten moon on the outer rim. Hours later, the emergency pod drifted through space. Staylor sat alone, bruised and shaken. A message played on a loop from Voxes, recorded before they split up. Keep going, Staler. Don't let them silence the past. The message must be heard. He stared at the stars outside the window. He had nothing now. No home, no team, but he had purpose, and he wasn't going to stop. The emergency pod descended onto a lonely moon at the edge of the galaxy. The surface was barren. No cities, no lights, only jagged rocks, and black sand stretching in every direction. Above, the sky shimmered with distant stars and fading nebulae. This was Drexen 9, once home to the Edge Archives, a forgotten vault of history sealed away when the Concord declared certain knowledge too dangerous to keep. Staler stepped out of the pod, tired but determined. The air here was thin, the gravity low. His boots crunched over the rocky surface as he followed the signal from the device Voxus had given him. The device beeped faster as he approached a half-buried metal structure. He dug away the sand with his hands, revealing a round hatch. When he pressed his palm to the panel, it scanned his DNA and clicked open. Inside was a narrow stairway, spiraling down into darkness. The Edge Archives were built like a maze, long corridors of rusted metal, crumbling data vaults, and flickering lights. Old machines lay broken on the floor, covered in dust. But the deeper Staler went, the more intact the structure became. Blue lights hummed to life as he passed, reacting to his presence. At the very end of the corridor stood a glowing sphere locked in a force field. He stepped closer. The force field pulsed gently, then lowered as the orb scanned him. The moment his hand touched the surface, a recording began to play. A man appeared, gray-bearded, tired, wearing a simple lab coat. His eyes were red with emotion. "My name is Dr. Cassian Ward," he said. "I was part of the final human preservation project. We knew Earth wouldn't survive, so we planted seeds of memory, not in machines but in people. We sent human DNA across space, hidden in time-locked vaults. We didn't know if anyone would survive, but we had to try." Staler's heart raced. The truth he had suspected was now confirmed. He wasn't just a researcher. He was living proof of Earth's final hope. "We locked the message into genetic code," Dr. Ward continued. "Only someone born of that code can fully awaken it. That someone is you." A crackling noise came from behind. Footsteps. Staler turned quickly, reaching for his pulse pistol, but it was too late. Concord agents burst into the room, weapons raised. Behind them stood Varel Zahn. He was calm, composed, dressed in a sharp black robe that shimmered like oil. His eyes locked onto Staler. "So this is where the trail ends," Varel said. "I must admit, you've made it further than most." Staler raised his chin. "You're here to erase this too." "No," Varel replied. "I'm here to offer you something." He stepped forward slowly. "Give me the memory core, and come with me. We'll rebuild Earth, a peaceful version. No chaos, no war, no resistance. You'll be its first citizen." Staler frowned. "A lie. A cage dressed as paradise." "It's order," Varel said. "The galaxy doesn't want the real Earth. It wants peace." "I don't care what the galaxy wants," Staler said. "Earth wasn't perfect, but it was alive." Varel's face darkened. "Then you've made your choice." He raised his hand to signal the agents. But just then the archive's lights went red. A loud alarm echoed through the halls. A voice shouted from the shadows. "Not yet, you don't." Zilly leapt down from a broken vent, blaster in hand. Her wings snapped open as she fired at the agents. Voxes followed her, body glowing with heat, sending out a shockwave of energy that knocked weapons from enemy hands. A fight broke out. Staler ducked for cover. Blaster shots rang out across the archive. Sparks flew, panels shattered. The orb tumbled from its pedestal and rolled toward him. He grabbed it. Zilly shouted, "We've got to go." But the fight was not without cost. Core, their insectoid ally, emerged from behind a pillar. He held off 3 agents with his energy staff, fighting fiercely. But one of the cleaners shot him in the side. Core fell to his knees. Staler tried to reach him, but Core raised a hand. "No," Core gasped. "Take the message. Finish it. Then, with his last breath, he touched Vox's shoulder. A stream of golden data flowed from Kor's mind into the AI. I am part of the story now, Kor whispered. And then he was gone. Staler stood frozen, grief welling up inside him. He wanted to scream, but there was no time. Zilly pulled him toward the exit as Voxes held the cleaners back. They escaped through an emergency tunnel, the orb still in Staler's arms. Hours later, aboard their ship, they sat in silence. Staler looked out at the stars. He had lost too much, but now he knew where the final piece of the message was located. Voxes appeared beside him. The beacon of Viridian Maw. It's the last transmitter strong enough to reach the entire galaxy. Staler nodded slowly. Then that's where we go. He closed his eyes. One more place, one last chance to make the galaxy remember. The ship drifted through the dark void of space, heading toward the most dangerous point in the galaxy, Viridian Maw, a massive black hole surrounded by broken satellites and abandoned transmitters. This place was once the center of communication for ancient civilizations, but now it was silent, forgotten, and deadly. Staler stood at the window, staring at the swirling darkness ahead. His hands tightened around the final memory orb. Inside it was the complete message from Earth, encoded in light, sound, and emotion. The last voice of a lost world. Beside him, Silly sat at the controls, her eyes focused, her wings twitching slightly. This place gives me chills, she whispered. It should, Voxes replied. Viridian Maw doesn't just swallow matter. It swallows time, but it's the only place left with a beacon strong enough to reach the whole galaxy. Staler nodded. We send the message from there, and everyone will hear it. Every species, every leader, every child. Silly looked at him. What if they ignore it? Or worse, what if they fear it? Then so be it, Staler said. But they'll know the truth. They approached a broken station orbiting the black hole. Beacon Station Zeta-9. It was old, damaged, and barely holding together. Its surface was cracked, its lights dim, but Voxes scanned it and confirmed it still had one working transmitter. They docked with the station and entered slowly. The air inside was thin and cold. The halls were silent. Dust floated in zero gravity. Old machines lined the walls, flickering weakly. At the center of the station was the main transmission core, a glowing chamber filled with cables and floating consoles. This was where the message would be sent. Staler placed the memory orb into the core. Voxes connected directly to it, running thousands of calculations in seconds. It's ready, Voxes said. All I need is your neural link. Your DNA carries the final key. Staler stepped forward and placed his hand on the core. Suddenly, alarms blared. Ships appeared on the scanners. The Concorde had found them. Outside, 3 heavy warships surrounded the station. One of them sent a message. The screen lit up, and the face of Viril Zan appeared, calm as ever. It doesn't have to end this way, he said. You're too late, Staler replied. We're sending the message. Viril sighed. You're going to burn everything down for a dream. Humanity ended for a reason. The galaxy moved on. You should too. Silly stepped beside Staler. He's not alone, and Earth didn't end. It was erased. Viril's voice sharpened. Last warning. Surrender the message, or we open fire. Staler looked at Voxes. Activate the core. Voxes nodded. Beams of blue light surged through the station as the memory orb lit up. A deep hum filled the room. The ships outside began charging their weapons. Then the first blast hit. The station shook violently. Sparks flew. Consoles exploded. Staler was thrown to the ground. Voxes stayed connected to the core, its body glowing red from the energy. I need more time, Voxes shouted. Silly fired back at the enemy ships using the station's defense turrets, but they were badly outgunned. Another blast struck. Part of the ceiling collapsed. Staler pulled himself up, blood on his face. He saw Voxes struggling, its body flickering. Let me help, Staler said. Voxes replied. If you connect fully, The energy will destroy you. I don't care, Staler said. If this message is our only chance to be remembered, then I'll be the one to send it. He reached out and touched the core again. The station lit up like a star. Across the galaxy, screens flickered. Devices turned on. Dream nets glowed. Every species, every planet, every soul heard the voice of Earth. We were flawed. We were fierce. But we loved. We hoped. We dared to dream. We were more than our wars, more than our machines. We were human. And though our world is gone, our light still burns. Still, children wept. Elders sat in silence. Soldiers paused. Rebels listened. Still, leaders lowered their heads. The message spoke to the soul. Back on the station, the room went dark. The core powered down. Voxes fell silent. Silly rushed to Staler. He lay on the floor, weak, barely breathing. You did it, she whispered, holding his hand. Outside, Varel's ships retreated. There was no more war to fight. The truth had already spread. It couldn't be stopped now. Far away on a peaceful planet, a child looked up at the stars. Her mother held her close and said, "That's where Earth used to be. Now it lives in us." The station hung silently above the black hole, battered but still intact. Inside, the lights flickered back to life, dim and soft. The core had powered down. The message had been sent, and across the galaxy, something had changed. Staler lay in the medical bay, wrapped in a thermal blanket. His body was weak, and his skin was pale, but he was alive. The energy surge had nearly killed him, but Voxes had absorbed most of the blast before shutting down. Zilly sat beside him, her wings folded, her expression calm but proud. "You did it," she said. Staler gave her a tired smile. "Did they listen?" She nodded. They didn't just listen, they felt it. Across the galaxy, the effects of the broadcast rippled like waves through water. On Larneth, where emotional expression had been illegal for centuries, citizens gathered in public squares to cry together for the first time. On Vexar 7, a world run by cold logic and artificial minds, a machine paused its daily routine, replaying the message on repeat. In the great capital of the Concord, protests began. Young beings chanted the words of the message. We were more than our machines, we were human. The message had touched something long buried, something deeper than history. It awakened memories, even in those who had never known Earth. Back on the station, Voxes' system slowly rebooted. Its glowing eyes flickered on. "Memory stable," it said. "Transmission complete." Staler sat up. "You saved me. You saved Earth," Voxes replied. "I only followed your lead." A soft beep echoed through the room. A new signal had arrived. A message from the Concord Council. Zilly opened it. A projection appeared. It was not Varel. He was gone. In his place stood a younger leader, her voice trembling but sincere. "We were wrong," she said. "Truth should never be buried. The message has reminded us who we are, not just as species but as living beings. Thank you." Weeks later, the team returned to Aurelian Prime. This time, they were not fugitives. They were welcomed. The University of Memory reopened its archives. Forbidden history was restored. Statues of Earth scientists, poets, and explorers were raised for the first time in thousands of years. Staler walked the city streets, now filled with images of blue oceans and green forests, art made by those inspired by the message. He visited the classroom where he once studied as a student. Now, children gathered to learn about Earth, not as a myth, but as a truth. On a distant planet far from Concord space, a little girl walked with her father across a grassy field. She held a small sapling in her hands. "What's this called again?" she asked. Her father smiled. "It's an oak tree. It came from Earth." She looked up at the stars. "Do you think we'll ever find it?" "Maybe not the planet," he said, "but the feeling, the hope, that's already here." He placed the sapling in the soil. She knelt beside him and helped cover the roots with her small hands. They stood together, silent under a bright sky. The wind blew softly, and in the heart of a distant galaxy, Earth lived again, not in soil or stone, but in memory.